the FNL Network talk show.
All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the FNL Talk Show. I'm Sean. I'm joined by David, Jeff, and KK. You're representing women of all kinds tonight. The pressure is on.
I do it well, darling. Usually.
Yes, you're like every Barbie. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Oh, and that makes me think. So people are mad. Poor Margot Robbie, who only made $40 million from Barbie because she gets a percentage of the movie, isn't up for an Oscar, but Ken is. And Greta Gerwig, the director, she had like the #1 movie since COVID. I think she's going to do fine. What do you guys think? Like, are there any movies you wish were nominated? Are you upset about the big Barbie snub? I have some friends, online are saying Saltburn should have been nominated. I think it should have been nominated for screenplay. But anyhow, any thoughts? Who wants to go first? Jeff?
I always throw me out there first. Well, I don't look at Barbie movie.
You're representing all Black men. So just, like, hey, is every woman, everybody in a box, because that's what I like to do.
You haven't seen Barbie. Wait a minute, Jeff.
No.
It's
not
on
the
that.
only one. He is not the only one.
I didn't go see that movie. I just did not have a need to go see Barbie.
I'm with you, Jeff.
I'm just being real.
It's so funny too, because years ago, since, like I was around when they invented the wheel, SAG used to mail all the DVD screeners. Now I think your butt has to go on, find like where the link is to like try to watch everything, for free or whatever. I haven't hit that thing like, yeah, I still want the DVDs. Because I like giving it to my hairdresser. I like illegal sharing. I'm fine with that. But no, you didn't hear that from me. My name is Jeff. Anyhow, David, you also didn't see Barbie. Were there any movies you were rooting for? You don't really care?
No, like I said a while back, I'm not a movie person. I'm so focused on the things that I'm trying to do. I don't really go out a lot right now. As you get older, you just get settled in your ways, and you don't have to be out there seeing every new thing that come out. I just don't.
All right. And what about you, KK? What do you think?
Honey, first of all, I love Barbie. Of course, I saw it like it came out. My girls went. Some of them wore pink. Some of us wore pink. I think Greta Gerwig is one of the best directors out right now. Lady Bird, Little Women. She just killed everything she does. I thought she did a great job with Barbie. I knew it was going to be subversive. I knew it wasn't going to be all about the toy because she was doing it. They got the right person to do it. So when it comes to her for directing, for your movie to get nominated for Best Picture and you're a director not to get nominated is pretty crazy. The race is stiff for actresses in lead actress. So I wasn't expecting her to get anything in lead actress. I thought that was a tough road to hoe. But I think the French lady winning for Anatomy of a Fall for director was a shocker. I really expected Greta Gerwig to be in that category. I just think it's a slap in the face to have your movie be nominated, your supporting actress be nominated, supporting actor to be nominated, and then not your director, even more than your lead actor. So for me, that was shocking because I thought she did an amazing job as far as direction in that. Especially the Ken bits, them going in and out. They travel so much. It was just like so many different things. What I think was really completely overlooked, I think they got some like audiovisual, like cinematography nominations. But Origin really should have been in the Best Picture race for me. Absolutely. I went to see it this weekend. I was gutted by it. Ava just is brilliant, and I think that she was overlooked for Best Picture this year because Origin is a movie that she created outside of the Hollywood system. She didn't create it with any major distributor. She didn't have any. She didn't do it with the studio's backing. She got donations from people because her and Oprah like this, so she long money. So she was able to do it outside of the studio system, and for that reason, she came out of her background is in movie marketing, so I thought like she would kill it being on the circuit, but I think it was just really difficult for her. Even though she was able to open it at Venice Film Festival, it was just really a tough role for her. For a person that is really into movies and love movies, I was just like, where is it? like, when am I going to be able to see it? Like, why isn't everybody talking about it? So it's just really strange to me, especially after seeing it. I think it should be required viewing. It's called Origin. It's based on Isabel Wilkerson's book Caste, which was a bestseller on the New York Times bestseller list for weeks and weeks and weeks over COVID. And it's so well done that to adapt the book is just insane. I just really feel like it is the one thing that would get our country as Americans on the road to healing when it comes to race and reconciliation. I feel like if you consider yourself an anti-racist, if you want to move forward in this country when it comes to race, you have got to see that movie. You just got to see it.
Wow. That's a big statement. Now I want to see it. I'm like, what is it about? I mean, I'm all for somebody else giving reparations. I don't have enough money. So I'm like, just take the money from other white people. I am fine with that. I mean, I'm part Sicilian. I don't even know how white I am. But to me, I think like the whole Oscar race, it's like just a popularity contest. I mean, is Catherine Zeta-Jones really Oscar worthy? Could she have won for anything other than Chicago, a musical? I don't really know. I mean, and I like, Margot Robbie. I think she's really good, but I don't think Barbie was her best role, to be honest. I mean, maybe if she showed her visit at the gynecologist at the end, then, she's out doing Basic Instinct. She's taking it to a next level. It'd be like, wow, Barbie had something else in her. Who knew? But, that's a whole other topic. David, what are your thoughts about the Oscar race?
I've never really been an Oscar fan. I know, like you just said, it's a popularity contest. Always has. I know when G.I. Joe came out, I was super excited to go see it because I was a little boy growing up that wanted to, play with Star Wars figures and G.I. Joe. So I wanted to see what it was going to be about, even though I knew it wasn't going to be about the toys and whatnot. Barbie just wasn't something I was excited to play. I mean, when I was a kid, my sister, I'd play with her Barbie dolls with her, but it was more or less I'd just go in there and take her Barbie dolls and I'd put them in provocative positions just to make her angry when she came back. Other than that, I didn't spend a lot of time on Barbie. I mean, we did have a Barbie game on Commodore 64 that you'd sit there and you get the outfits and everything, and then Ken would call up and say, "Hey, Barbie, plans have changed." We'd have to change. So we never won the game. So I had no intentions of really wanting to see it. My daughter wanted to see it. She went and saw it. It just wasn't, my wife has said, "Hey, you got to see it. It's actually pretty good. It's not what we thought, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. I'd rather not. I mean, for me, I started watching Killers of the Flower Moon. I've just been so busy lately. I hadn't had an opportunity to really watch a lot of movies at home, but especially with football season, I've been busy. But I tell you what, Killers of the Flower Moon, it's probably not for everybody. I'm a historical guy. I love history movies. I love things. The more accurate, the better. And this wasn't a typical movie that was designed or it didn't follow the flow of a regular movie. So you had to really get into it. What I thought was amazing was the dialogue. The dialogue spoke in as if you were just there. In fact, sometimes I'm thinking, man, I wonder if they actually acted that out or they just said, "Hey, just say something," and it sounds like a regular conversation. So, it's a long movie. I'll be honest with you. I'm not done. As soon as we get done here, I'm gonna go eat and watch the rest of it. But I thought it was amazing. Now, does Leonardo DiCaprio need an Oscar for it? He's done better. His role was good. I thought it was great acting, to be honest with you. So, like I said, I didn't watch the Oscars, and I never do. I know Corey watches it and everybody else watches it. I've never been one. Like you said, it's popularity contests and who's winning at the time. Heck, when Star Wars came out, I was mad that they weren't winning things, but that's just the nerd in me, I guess. So as far as that goes, I'm not on that panel. I don't do the voting. Who knows? Do they just let their friends vote and that's the way it goes, or what? So I'm sure it's a great movie. I mean, Kay loved it, right? I mean, if
Go on, Kay loved it. I mean,
I thought it was a movie that was going to be designed for a certain crowd of people that wanted to watch it, and if that's what you like to watch, go watch it. That's what my thought. It wasn't like I had to go see it and I have to do a homework assignment on it. If it was, I'd probably hate myself for it, but because I didn't watch it.
So Flower Moon was Scorsese, right?
Yes.
I thought
Yes.
so. Yeah, I didn't see it yet. I know the Native American lady is like the first Native American to be nominated, and she's continuing to be nominated.
Yeah.
Surprised, like a purple.
It was. Yeah, it was definitely interesting. My grandparents are from the 20s, or they were born in the 20s, so it was really interesting just to see the personalities and how things went unjust. And what was really interesting is they brought a lot of history from the outside in too. If you know anything about the Tulsa, Oklahoma, which is one of the worst times in history, recently actually, where African Americans were just getting destroyed in their town by the KKK, which was a horrible, horrible story in itself. That was even involved in the movie and at the right time. And they actually showed actual footage from the news broadcast at that time. And so they brought that into it, and it was in Oklahoma where Killers of the Flower Moon was at. So I enjoy history movies that really stick to close to the truth. Now, how much of that's different, I have yet to do that because it's I watch the movie first and then I go back and see, you know, that didn't make sense. That didn't make sense, and that was just added in, whatnot. And I don't like it when they do that as much, but I mean, we're entertainers, so I guess you can do what you want, right? I didn't put the money up for the movie.
But it's actually pretty accurate because I did the same thing.
Yeah.
Some parts where I was just like, why are they wearing their jackets? Like when she's wearing that it's kind of like an army jacket at the wedding. Have you seen it? Yeah.
Yeah, the style.
And that's true. You go back and it's like this whole thing with the Louisiana Purchase and how the army worked into it. And so I think in my opinion, I mean, normally for me, Scorsese just doesn't miss. The Irishman was great.
I love the book. The book was even better.
Yeah, he loves doing a long, he loves doing a long movie. But I mean, I'm the same with you. I thought it was great. I thought Lily Gladstone was great, but I don't think it was Leonardo's best work either.
No, I don't think so either. And what I thought was more interesting was the history behind it. They're bringing in the type 2 diabetes with the Native Americans. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, they don't teach that in school. That's something, unless you like history and you've read up on it. Basically the Native Americans had eaten healthy for so long and they were out hunting and gathering and doing things. And when they got shoved on reservations, they lived a sedentary lifestyle. They were stuck eating canned food and processed foods from the Americans. They were no longer eating the good things. Now they had sugar and everything, and they were just pounding it. And most Native Americans didn't last, especially in those tribes in that area, past 50. And the way they've twisted it into it and what they're doing, and I was kind of surprised that they were using insulin at that point, But it's just that's a scary thing, And if you know anybody with type 2 diabetes that has to take insulin, I couldn't only imagine living in that time frame. So really, really, really cool how they put it together. And, the violence is right there in your face. It's like, whoa, and then they just, who killed them? I guess somebody else did. Well, move on, and it's just, but that's the way it was. Crazy. In a lot of those small towns, it was a lot like that, so highly, highly interesting. I mean, if you haven't seen, like I said, and Kay could probably agree with me, it's not a movie for everybody.
Who is it not for, David? It's a movie for everybody.
Well, I mean, the style of flow, the way, the dialogue, the way you have to actually be cerebral to understand what the hell's going on it. You can't just show up and be like, oh, I get it. I mean, don't watch it.
You're dumb. Do not watch that movie. Anybody watching the FNL Talkshow is stupid. Now, this is not the movie for you, and you know you're stupid. So just do not tune in. So that's what we're learning from David. I like it. Leo's learning McDonald's for Native Americans. So before Dances with Wolves, it was Dances with Sugar. So I'm learning a lot without even seeing the movie. Really, to be honest. So interesting.
Dances with Wolves is by far my favorite movie of all time. So I know people probably don't like that either, but it's amazing. So.
Well, to me, she's kind of like a human Barbie. Taylor Swift. What does she really do? She sings a few songs. She stands around in different outfits. Maybe she sees a gynecologist. Now she's dating the football team. I don't know. But supposedly, they were showing gynecological shots that were fake. And on like the new Twitter platform, X, they're like, oh, you want to see Taylor's X? And then, and then all the Swifties were like, that's not her vagina. She wouldn't do that, because they defend their Taylor. So God bless. So, I mean, she even helped, bring him to the Super Bowl. I mean, she's got a powerful vagina and nobody's going to mess with it and post it on long inaccurately. So that's what we have learned. But what I'm curious about, and I'll go to you, Kay, first, being like a lady. what they said legally, like that if they do not, okay, so Twitter or X is saying that they do not post on purpose non-consensual photos, nor should they, right? Especially if it's explicit. However, legal experts said unless basically somebody else is making money from it, they could just take your head and throw it on anything they want. So what do we think of this, and how can anybody protect themselves moving forward with AI?
I mean, it's crazy. It is
Yeah.
crazy. I was actually listening to a podcast, and there's and this person was like, you know, you can, because basically anyone can pull your image from anywhere and use it. But they were saying there's a way where you can basically more or less try and scrub your image from commercial sites. You have to enter in your name, enter in your email address, and then you have to do all this verification process. I did it. They have to get back to you. It's a long verification, drawn out verification process where they decided, you know, you are who you are, and then you show them what pictures, what photos you've seen of yourself commercially online, and then they can remove those for you and scrub it and make sure it's not reused. So that's really interesting. But I just think, I feel like it's a runaway train. It's going to be really hard to, you know, manage anything. I think I would just assume moving forward that anything I see, especially something vulgar, is fake. You know what I mean? I think we're to that point now where we're just like, that ain't real. That ain't real. I mean, you know, the whole deep fake business. So especially with AI, I can't believe people. Well, I love that Taylor Swift's fans were like, our Taylor would never.
Well, she's not a Kardashian. She actually has talent.
Right. So then that's the thing. So then that means the next time we see something and it's Kardashian, everybody's gonna be like, Kim's showing her boobs again. You know what I mean? Because that's Kardashian, I guess. That's her brand. So that's kind of messed up. But at this point, I don't know, guys. It just feels like a runaway train. I just feel like we can't trust anything anymore. I don't know. I'm a
I agree. I agree. Yeah, before coming online, I found David's photos and it said Donkey Dong. So how do you feel about being exploited, David? You know, because I was a little surprised.
I've never done porn, trust me.
You know, it was like Fires of the Moon. You know? I was a little surprised. So what's your take on all this?
I think everything's just controversial. I just feel like it's set up to create a negative and a positive. That's just our world. It is what it is. And I feel like AI is the worst. I see so many people changing their looks and making themselves look young. Okay, you can't change the aging process. I know you want to look like that. It's just crazy to me. But you can, when you see it, you know it's AI. It looks cartoonish, and I don't understand why people believe it. Because you can see it. It's like, okay, that is not the person. No. But yeah, I think we just we're living in a very chaotic world right now. And we have to be careful.
Say some of it is good though.
Yeah.
Like I saw one where they took MLK and he had on a chain. He looked like a rapper. I was just like,
posters.
That's not real.
Why are they doing this? But it looked so real. It was.
But you know he's not gonna be wearing that stuff. You come on, like. That's not a person's normal character, so you kind of can weigh it out to me. Like, no, we're not going to see that. It's just like we see it, Barack Obama with chains and sunglasses. They do sound like, come on now, it's not his character.
But we know it's not.
Key and Peele did that.
Look real, you know, like I was saying with Kim Kardashian. So she, you know, so if that's not your reputation, then we're gonna think twice. But if it is.
Yeah, then it's like, okay. Yeah, I feel you.
Well, like the whole Pamela Anderson sex tape. I don't know if you ever back in the day like saw the whole like show about what happened with her, but it was for their honeymoon. And, you know, because Tommy Lee was supposedly a nice person, didn't pay a contractor who found the tape and then sold it. But it turned out from all these mishaps, nobody really fully profited except for maybe one or two of the people who were able to, you know, get it out there. So it's crazy. And she was really never able to like recover it. And then when she could, she was so hurt, she let it go. I don't know. So what about you, David? Are you afraid that you're going to be all over the internet?
Man, I tell you what, AI it's an amazing concept. It's an amazing thing. We all know where it's going. Legally, I don't see how you can stop it. Look, we all love ice cream. We all love alcohol. We all know that if you drink too much alcohol, you're going to kill yourself in the long run. It's the same thing with AI. AI is going to go as far as people can absolutely push it, you know, especially with the deep fake. We just got to, we live in an era where we can't trust anybody right now, right? Heck, I might be talking to AI right now, and you guys are just really good deep fakes. Who knows? But at the end of the day, I don't see how you're going to be able to stop it. We're all entertainers. We're in the entertainment industry. And right now, anybody could take this pictures right now and do what they want with it. And we have to be like, well, you know what? The bottom line is you just got to stick with the old rule. You got to surround yourself with some positive people. You have to surround people that can be a testament to your character. Do Swifties, are they good testament to your character? I don't know about that. But at the end of the day, people have to know, hey, is Sean a good guy? Do we know him? And people around are going to stick up for him. It's not like I'll be like, okay, well, then maybe he's not the jerk off that I thought he was, like they put on AI, right?
Oh, he is. Oh, no.
Yeah.
So,
he's my brother,
I don't think they can stop I don't know how you can legally do it. It's now you're tapping into freedom of speech. You're tapping into a lot of different aspects. I know that they're trying to put things together right now to protect people, and you can do this and that. But at the end of the day, people just have to be smarter than that. If you want to go online and look it up, you're going to be looking in some shady websites in the first place just to find those pictures. Because when I popped up this morning, it wasn't the first thing that popped up on Facebook. Hey, guess what? And there's a picture of Taylor Swift, spread eagle in front of me. So I got to search for it if I really want to search for it, for one. And for two, those deep fakes, even before they had deep fakes, they used to just cut off people's faces. I'm sure every single celebrity out there, you can go and take and say, hey, look up Barbara Mandrell naked. And I'm sure you're going to find a fake picture.
Wait, not Barbara Mandrell.
It's her sisters, the Mandrell sisters. We're like, oh my gosh, they weren't related. I had no idea.
Stick around me long enough. I come out with the most random
Barbara
crap
Mandrell
out of
took me
nowhere.
out.
Trust me.
You can tell she's freaking, Barbara.
So, but they'll have pictures of anybody, and you have to be smart enough to realize, like, am I looking at it? And if I'm really looking at it, why am I looking at it? So, I mean, it's made for certain people to make money. People are going to make money off of anything they can do. I do paintings, and I know for a fact that if I went and took a picture of, of a beach, or I went down to a beach and I painted it, who's going to come back and say, hey, I'm going to sue you because I took that picture. I'm like, how do you know I wasn't sitting 5 feet away from me when you took that picture? How do you know? So it's really, really a fine line that they're going to have to stop and look at it. I don't think you're going to be able to stop it. And if you do, it'd be amazing. But I think in order to do that, they're going to have to tap into or stop our rights as, Americans. And once you start tapping in freedom of speech, it's going to be a whole new issue. But AI is going to take off. They've got to figure something out. What it comes down to is they got to control it themselves. Remember years ago when they were talking about taking the sheep and remaking them with their DNA and cloning them. Cloning, that's the word I was looking for. Remember how everybody's freaked out? Oh, we're going to have a bunch of, clones around. I was like, at the time, I'm like, that'd be awesome. They can clone 7 of me. I could do something every day. And then the real me can go sit on the beach and chill, or go out to the mountains. But the reality is that was something that they had to tap into, because an evil scientist can get a hold of that money and that science and do something with it. Somebody evil is going to take the AI to a whole new level. We know it's going to happen. Let's just hope it's not like all the movies we watched where the robots take over and, they have control of nuclear bombs. They have control over everything we do, And we talked about it a few weeks ago on a show about AI misinterpreting people getting arrested because their picture popped up and, they just happened to be the one person in the room and, oh, that sucks. It was a black guy in the room. So they just take a random black guy and say, oh, it was you. Or a random white guy, and I think the question was, the lady was pregnant. How could you not tell she was pregnant? The lady that came in and did it was wearing a bikini. I doubt a pregnant bikini lady was running around naked, so it's just, we also have to be smart. We have to be intelligent enough to understand it. So that's my take on it.
Unless you're cloned, then you could just be bad. I don't know. That's what we're learning.
Right? Exactly.
But, talking about like fake stuff, like I'd heard, and I more read it than actually heard it on the news, but that somebody called saying they were Nikki Haley in South Carolina and that her daughter was like in a pool of blood. And like, so that's like, to me, way more than like some sort of fake salacious photo. And it's also too, I think you have like the media and other candidates saying like, oh, this person's evil and you've got to choose me over them, and like really making the divides amongst us stronger than ever. And then it brings the crazies out of crazy town. And, and honestly, how can you protect yourself from that? I mean, the cops probably have to show up. They're doing their job. You don't know if it's fake or if it's real, or, how Nikki Haley sounds on the phone, if it sounds different or she's under duress, but I think it's kind of terrible. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'll go with you, Jeff. Do you think it's like the media creating this whole environment? Is like, what could you do, even if somebody made a fake call on you to protect yourself? I think that's very limited and very scary as far as, protecting yourself in that type of regard.
It's to me, it's hard to do that because I'm just going off of when we were in school and they used to do the fake calls where something was going on in the school and they exit everybody out of the school. It's hard to hone in on who's doing it, but to me it's crazy because I feel like you're putting people's lives in jeopardy. It is just, I think the world is crazy right now. People are just doing crazy things and it doesn't make any sense, and I think it's not a joke anymore. I think people need to sit back and think logically versus just doing the crazy stuff that they're doing. Like, I can use an example. I don't know if y'all heard here where I'm at in Virginia Beach, the girl that drove her car off of the fishing pier this weekend.
I saw that video.
It was crazy. It was like people was like, welcome to Virginia Beach. And like that person is underwater, they're dead. Like, it's like everything is a joke and life is not a joke. Like, we really need to really stop doing the crazy stuff. Like, I'm very passionate about that, y'all. I'm just like, this stuff that's going on in the world and how people are moving and how people can put somebody else's life in jeopardy by doing a prank call and telling that somebody's dead, and a whole bunch of cops at your house with guns, and there's older people sitting in the house and they're looking like, what's going on? And they're almost going to have a heart attack. It's not funny anymore. I think we need to really sit back and think about the things that we're doing in the world. And I think it starts from the top. Like, everything starts from the top, like, the presidency and all that, and it trickles down, the wickedness. It has to be a shift. I listen to us talk about these topics and it's always just some wickedness undercut behind it. It's nothing good. And when are we going to start living life where we go out and we're happy seeing one another without us thinking of some way in our own dark world how we can hurt that person or how we can do something, undercut that person without them knowing that we're doing it. Like, to me, that's just mixed devious. I don't like it. I think it behooves me that people think that way. So sure. I don't. I think it's crazy that people are doing that.
Well, I mean, even look at like Nancy Pelosi's husband. He was attacked. He's an elderly guy. Whether he's a good guy or not, to just break into anyone's house and beat the poop out of them, rich, not, Republican, Democrat, to me, it's just like crazy. But I also don't know, like, everybody's in their own bubbles. And I don't know if people even think anymore that there's ramifications for their actions. Even like just now, like Trump with his sexual lawsuit, here in New York, the 83 million or 88 or whatever it was, very large sum. Will it change his behavior? Will people from January 6th being sentenced, will it change their or other people want to do this behavior? And, by having punishments for whoever attacked, whoever threatened Nikki Haley, whoever attacked Pelosi, no matter what side of the fence you're on, would that really deter people? I mean, is it the media to blame? What do you think, Kay?
Well, first of all, I have not heard about the car driving off the pier. That just blew my mind. Okay. I have to recover from that.
It's on video.
The video is really, it's sad.
Well, for suicide, why did the person do it, supposedly?
They don't know. We don't know how. Well, first of all, the pier is closed because of the season. So the person, it was early morning, people actually there that were not supposed to be on that pier. And the car literally rolled because the way Virginia Beach is set up, there's a boardwalk. They have to actually drive from off of regular road onto the regular boardwalk to actually drive onto that pier. And they broke through the gates. They were driving, and the way they showed the back of the car, it looked like they were hesitant to do it because they kept braking, and then it just fell off. The car just fell in the water. Like it was just like it was like a movie, but it was reality. Somebody really did it, and somebody filmed it. They caught it early in the morning, them doing it. So they they're trying to get the car up, but they, from what I know, they haven't pulled the car up, and the person is still in the car.
Wow.
Yeah,
Taking
so
that
they haven't
long?
released it. Hmm?
It's taken that long, or is it because of the investigation? Or I
I
don't know
think
if
it's
that
because
makes
of
sense.
investigation. I don't know if they actually got the car, but yesterday they were down there trying to pull the car up from underwater, and the person is still in the car.
Oh
Like,
man.
it's just crazy. Like, so it's no joke. Like, the world is joking about it, like saying crazy things, and I'm like,
Oh,
that's not
the world
funny.
is so, I mean, people are so
Stop
unserious.
it.
People are so unserious. It can be anything. I'm like, wow. The things that people like make a joke out of, like literally anything. So people are so unserious, and that is sad.
Yeah.
But I think that what's crazy is people have a platform and they say, things to incite violence, not realizing a normal person is going to be like, okay, whatever, but you have people that are unstable listening to your message, and then they go out and follow through, or they go, that's coded. What they really want me to do is go to Nancy Pelosi's house and beat her husband. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be really careful about what you say, the messages that you are saying to people. When there are a lot of unstable people in the population, and people are reading into like whatever messages you say. That the whole swatting thing is insane, because I know swatting is being done to regular people. My daughter was saying out at college where she is in New York City that students were swatting other students. I was just like, what? They're on the opposite side of some protests and they're swatting each other. And I'm just like, what? Like, how is this a form of punishment, or to one person to another? What happened to just fighting somebody? What is, like, I'm gonna call a SWAT team to your house and scare you to death? Like, that's just nuts to me. I just
At college, shouldn't they be smarter? I mean,
right.
come on. But maybe mommy and daddy can save them, so who cares?
You would think. I don't know. I mean, yeah. So it's just a crazy situation on all sides. I think you just really have to be careful with them, with the messages that people have to be careful with the things that they're saying. Yeah, because they're just like increasingly unstable people, and they're just platforms everywhere, and people are, all kinds of people are listening. So it's just it's a dangerous time, and I think people just need to be more careful about it.
The world is just chaotic. Like, people, to me personally, I think people are not seeing the red flags to me. Like, it's in our face. Like, the things that people are doing are chaotic because everything in the world is chaotic. So people are only going to, it's a spirit. People are going to act according to the way things are moving. So to me, people are doing that, but nobody's really opened their eyes enough to see, okay, we are supposed to be normal, waking up and having a wonderful life, but the world is really in shambles. It's chaotic from one end of the spectrum to the other. It is what it is. Reality is in our face, but we want to think it like it's a joke, but it's really not a joke. It's stuff really going on in the world that we need to open our eyes to and stop just brushing it off and saying, oh, I'm gonna pray for them. Like, we need to sit back and like, okay, y'all, let's take a deep breath and let's change the dynamics of how we're moving, because there are people that are suicidal. There's people that want to kill people. Everything is just a hate crime nowadays, and it behooves me how people are moving like that. Like, you're scared to go out and even say hi to somebody without somebody want to take it, and they take it personal and they want to kill you. Like, that's crazy. So that's my opinion. I'm just very strong on that when it comes to showing love to one another. I think we need to get back to that and not just brushing it off. Like, I'm up here on this platform. I'm a minister, and I see stuff, and he speaks to me a lot in dreams. And I think the world is just haven't transformed. And I think he's trying to get us to stop doing this crazy stuff and have a heart. We don't have a heart. We need to get back to that heart posture of love.
I love it. Preach. That's why I live in a safe room, just drink a lot. But David, what's your solution to all this?
Man, I believe it's a smorgasbord of a perfect storm. You've got, even starting at the schools, we don't have any type of punishment. Nobody is held accountable at the teen. I'm going to go with teenagers because I teach high school too. There's no accountability. you can do what you want, get away with what you want, and we're not teaching accountability. All we're worried about is like, what can we do to keep from getting sued? How can we keep this kid from losing their mind? Let's just move it to another classroom. Let's take the teacher, let's punish the teacher and move him to another school. Let's appease the parents, appease the media, appease everybody around it. And we're not teaching accountability. That's where it starts, in my opinion. I think ever since COVID, we just kind of hit a ditch and everything has gone chaos. I also think, like Jeff said, I think we've we've taken God out of the picture, and people don't have a sense or a moral compass anymore. Most of the things that they see is through the media, so it's on their TV screen. It's not in their life. That wouldn't happen to me. But the reality is our media is completely opposite spectrums. Whatever you are, you could be complete leaning right extreme or leaning left extreme. Everybody has an agenda. They could take a big picture, move it down to a little tiny picture where we're looking through a telescope and hear exactly what they mandate us to believe and what we're seeing right now. And everybody runs with it. In a heartbeat, they run with it. And, when, 20, 30 years ago, if you looked at the news, whether it was MSN or Fox, whatever it was, you probably were getting pretty close, if not 80% to 85% of the truth of what's really happening. And we trusted our media. If I didn't want to trust media, I'd look at the Inquirer while I'm walking through the grocery line, because I knew since I was a kid, oh, that's the Inquirer. That's fake. But it's almost as if the media went out and decided to get rid of the honest reporters, and they hired Inquirer reporters, and on both sides. So no matter where you're from, we don't have enough intelligent people out there right now in our country to actually, or the world in general, to actually just look at both sides of the picture, try to put an intelligent answer together, and based on what we're hearing here. I mean, I talked a couple weeks ago about conspiracy theories. I love conspiracy theories. They're great stories sometimes. They're great things to listen to. But you got to be intelligent enough to not to go, oh, you know what? First thing I heard today. Did you know that John Lennon, or what's his name from the Beatles? People are gonna kill me for forgetting his name. Paul McCartney. Did you know I just watched a documentary on Paul McCartney, and he's actually alive? I mean, he actually died, and he's got a fake running around right now. The majority of America right now would listen to that and say, "Oh my God, you have to watch the new Beatles documentary." Did you know that Paul McCartney is really died, and he's got a fake in his place? And people follow it, and they believe anything they hear. It's ridiculous. It's
because
absolutely ridiculous. Right? Yeah. It's people hear what they hear, and they're like, I'm like looking at people like, you actually believe this crap, And then after I start seeing it on another station, I'm like, wait a minute, there might be something to this. And then I'll look in another thing. Then I'm like, dude, where the hell can I get the actual truth of what's going down? Especially we're talking about Pelosi's husband. When I first saw that, I was in the gym. I sit in between CNN and Fox on the treadmill, and I'm looking at both sides going, huh, both sides say he was attacked. That's interesting. I wonder what this is going with. That sucks. Guy broke in. You hear the media talk about it, and then you hear the extremes on both sides. One side is saying that, oh, he was good friends with the guy and he let him in and it went crazy and the guy had no pants on when he got there. And then the other side is saying, oh, they're just going to twist this because this is a way to make it look like, the left is completely, idiots. It's like, dude, we can't believe anybody anymore. We can't trust anybody, so we have to make intelligent decisions. It's easy for us four to sit here and say, hey, I'm going to make an intelligent decision. I can trust you guys and ask you what your opinion is. And, when we get done, I can sit back and say, oh, that makes a lot of sense, and I understand that and I respect it. In fact, we all have different views half the time, and we learn to respect each other and understand. But the problem is people don't listen the correct way anymore. Now it's the first thing they see. They forward it, forward. And it's usually 3 days before we find out, oh, that was fake. Damn, I fell for that one. Ha ha. That's funny. Oh, the lady fell off the end. That's CGI. No, that's not. That's AI. That's not real. And we laugh about it because why? Because our media makes a joke about everything that we do in the world right now, in my opinion. And it doesn't matter what it is. They lie to us on both ends, extreme. And somebody that tries to figure out in the middle where we're at, we're lost. So who do we believe? Who do we know? I mean, how long is it going to be before AI takes over our news broadcasting? And, now we're getting, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think it's great to listen to these questions that come on Quora on my emails every morning. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting question. Now I'm starting to realize AI is asking the dumb questions. How come we don't have any humans living on Earth? Why don't we leave any humans on the moon? It's like an actual human asked that, So AI is getting crazy. Our media is crazy. You can't trust anybody. You can't believe anybody. I think the media does push it, especially with school shooters. We all know that there's a big tragedy. That's all you see for the next 10 days. In the Native American communities, when somebody commits suicide, they have cluster suicides because all of a sudden everybody sees, oh, look how they put that person on a pedestal. You know what? My life sucks. I'm going to see if I go out in a big bang now. So it's just the way we live. We need more God, we need more truth, and we need more intelligence out there. And we need accountability for our youth before they become adults and they push this out to everybody.
Well, yeah. And I think, especially with a youth, it starts at home. Like if they get away with everything at home, or the parents like say that they do no wrong, then they're coddled for the rest of their life. And then they're living at home till they're 40. Because that's what we've seen with like the last generation. Because, oh no, the boss doesn't like me and the prices went up and, nobody can stand to date me other than my parents who loved me. So it's like we created a bunch of little monsters, depending on the parents, depending on the circumstance, and then I think really the media is just feeding what people want for money and for ratings. And so it's went from, being more about news to being more about entertainment. And then I think there's a spectrum on like how much they push, their agenda. Because I remember, I'm definitely leaning more towards the liberal side. But when Bernie was almost beating Hillary and had the momentum Trump did, beginning with like people showing up at rallies and are like, how is this old Jewish man getting all these kids to show up? All of a sudden CNN's like, oh, it's CNN. He's a socialist and using the same rhetoric that like Fox would normally use. And meanwhile, if anybody knew about like socialism in general, like, our schools are socialist, our fire department is, our police are, welfare, Medicaid, Obamacare, hospitals, all the things we love, but somehow people think it's communism because, we have also a horrible educational system in the US, and now to me, the presidency is just American Idol. And then the entertainment factor and the ratings factor is what both sides are going to cover. And so that brings me to kind of where we are going with my last question that I had for y'all. Is, of course, Native Americans were here first, and then immigrants invaded, seeking, freedom from their religious persecution, and landed on Plymouth Rock. And now we have a big issue with immigrants. And then, some people.
Oh, I'm sorry. This part, I just have to interject because this part gets left out because we're always like Native people and then immigrants. Actually, some of us were brought here. We were told it was a cruise.
But that was later. They got here first, and they're like, "Oh, we need somebody to
over here." Some of us did not come willingly. So don't leave that part out. Continue.
Yeah, no, I agree fully. But I think first they came over, and then they're like, their little dumb butts were like, "I don't know how to grow anything," and then the Native Americans showed them, and then the next day they killed them or coughed on them, and then later on they're like, "Well, now who's going to farm for us?" And then they went on their little explorations. For the most part, I don't know if they brought any slaves originally. They weren't in any of the photos that I saw, but I don't know. But maybe. I mean, but to me, look, I mean, for a while, the Italians who came over were vilified. Like, what was it? Scorsese, Gangs of New York, and the Irish, and like they had these feuds, and they both weren't liked by, I guess, the English, and so there's always been kind of like a hate of like or fear of the immigrant. The Jewish population always throughout the centuries has had big issues, like trying to find land, being kicked off of land, being persecuted. So now, and then it kind of brings all points together, I think, to me. It's politicized about what do we do? At first, the liberal side was more or less like, well, we want to help people who need help. And this is what makes our country great. Let in people. And then the other side was like, not such a good deal. They're stealing jobs, yada, yada, yada. And it turns out a lot of people want more control on immigration. And it turns out as well, we stopped a lot of our controls. Like I didn't realize like asylum was literally like your life was in danger. It wasn't seeking better opportunity. So, so now people like use it differently. Like, yes, their life could be in danger because there's high gang warfare, but they're not necessarily the target of that gang warfare. So now what they're saying on the news, the Senate, I don't know if they just did or not, but before I last checked about an hour ago, did vote whether they're going to try to put something through that may not go through the House because Trump wants to run on immigration because he thinks building that wall again that he never built It's going to help his campaign. And now Biden also wants, to put control on immigration because it's a losing point, for the Democrats. Like they seem too weak on immigration, according to most of the polls and most of the data. And so now they're using immigration, closing the border, all for bullet points for the press and for money and for entertainment factors and whatever else it might be, without really taking into any of the ramifications. So this kind of brings up everything together. What the heck is the solution? Because I don't think there's an easy one. And the bill that they were going to put through, supposedly it's like some of the biggest cutbacks on immigration. Having a strong qualification system, I support, in order to come in, and a work ethic and maybe a proof of history or some sort of program. That's great. What do you think? I'll start with you, Kay, because it seems like you have, a lot of opinions and things to say on this. And so I appreciate it. Go.
Yeah, I mean, listen. For me, I start with living up to the ideals of our nation. People always want to talk about the Constitution and how important it is. And it was interesting this past summer, I was able to go to Paris and, the origination place of the Statue of Liberty. And so there's a little mini replica inside the Musée d'Orsay. And there it's a little bit, a little plaque where they talk about, the government of France gave this to the United States. And it was really in commemoration of the abolition of slavery and kind of a celebration of the Union victory of the Civil War. And so it's just really interesting to think the place that our country was in at that point, and that other countries were looking to us and saw, what we were doing. A place like France that was very anti-slavery at that period, in that period of time, and felt like, they should congratulate us for also denouncing slavery and embracing all people, and, to make this monument to commemorate it. And now it's in New York City, and people, flock to it and love to see it. And a bunch of immigrants long ago, had to go through Ellis Island and they would all see it. And when I lived in Philadelphia, when you would go in the Staten Island way, you take the ferry across and you see her. She's beautiful. She's gorgeous. She's a beacon of hope and light. What does she say? Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, this wretched refuse of your teeming shore. That is what she said. So if she said that, and your great-great-great-great-grandfather came over to Ellis Island and saw that promise, then who are you now to tell somebody from El Salvador or Ecuador or Honduras that they can't come? You know what I'm saying? It worked for you and your family. So I see this, the people that are rallying against immigration, that don't want anybody to come, that want to cut off all borders, that want people from so-called S-hole countries not to be able to be allowed in, not thinking about the history and the promise of this country, what this country is built on, the ideals that are supposed to be espoused by every American. This kind of stuff is important. I mean, we forget that. We forget who we are. Let me circle back and tell you, that's why you need to go see Origin, showing at a theater.
I love it. You're a producer on this shit.
It's gonna be Origin. I'm telling you guys. And the way, and it's not just an American thing, right? It's something that's repeated in different cultures in different countries. But I that's my feeling on it. And I still, to this day, I love the Statue of Liberty. And I've done my genealogy, and I know my people weren't brought here willingly. But it's now a country that I embrace and I love. And I feel like, as an American that loves this country, I want it to live up to its promise and its ideals.
I love it. I mean, ideally, but I also do think, like, a lot of countries, or maybe most people's hearts, are about division and are about supremacy and taking and survival of the fittest, starting with, the white people and the Native Americans, moving that on to the slaves, and now even to the point of, like, people coming from Honduras and all these Spanish countries. I find it fascinating and shocking and horrifying that, a lot of the people in Miami and so forth, so maybe they took a boat on over or swam on over, are against the people walking on over. And, and they just try to make that separation. You'd think like, oh, my ancestors went through something, I feel for you. Or like, I would even think like, oh, an African-American, had racism. I understand somebody having, homophobia. I understand somebody being anti-Semitic, so I don't want to partake in it. But that's not always the case, from any of the ends, whether you're looking at a Jewish person, to black person, to gay person, to Honduras, it's just like, people can be a little bit evil, but I don't know what the solution is,
And this is why you have to watch Origins, because it's based on Caste, the book, which talks about the caste system. And she says a lot of times we think things are prejudice or racism, but what it is just a reworking of the caste system, of a group of people putting another person down and trying to stack on top of them and create a caste system. And it's across all cultures. I'm telling you, it's just it's very fascinating. It's upsetting too. It's frustrating, right? But yeah.
All right, Jeff, I want to go with you because I know, David, you're the history major, so I'll let you wrap it all up with what your thoughts about this are, because I'm sure it's going to have a fascinating angle. So, Jeff, what do you think? Them politicizing everything, including people's lives now, and is the border too open? Is it not? Also, too, on a practical note, kitchens in New York, where the Statue of Liberty is, are filled with immigrants. The Uber delivery people now are immigrants. They do the jobs that a lot of Americans don't want to do. In Florida, they would be working, the orange groves, and then I'm sure the next generation might be going to Florida State University and changing that, or maybe even the same person 10 years later when they get to lift themselves up. But, sometimes you need a hand up to move up. So I think it's very complicated, not simple. Well, what's your take on all this, Jeff?
We're supposed to be American pie. We're supposed to be, everybody's free to come here and live the American dream. So I feel like, why are we trying to change that narrative? That's just my opinion. I think we just always trying to change the narrative because we want to control. To me, it's just a control thing. So Kay said, we came here. Some of us came here, didn't want to be here. Now we're here. We loving it, and we're moving forward. So why y'all trying to do it for undo it for a certain race, just because they want to come here and live the same dream that we may have always wanted to live? So that's my opinion. I don't want to talk on it too much. So.
All right, I'm going to throw it to you, David. Now, the other thing that's up, even Biden said he would shut the border if too many people are coming over at once. Now, maybe we can't handle that many people either. We don't have the system set up. Do you want to give that much food to people? Is it taking, because I've heard too, in border towns, their grocery stores may not have any groceries for the people living there because it all went to the people who just crossed over. So, again, I don't think there's a simple answer, but, with your familiarity with history and just, kind of what you're saying, oh, all the media's lying. What's your take on this? And do you see a happy direction or a medium to this? Supposedly, there's a bipartisan answer that somehow cuts a difference to maybe make a difference. I don't know. Nobody's seen the bill yet. But anyhow, what do you say?
Again, the media has tweaked the reality of what the problem is. We're not complaining about people coming to America. Everybody wants to come to America in the world. This is the greatest country in the world. Okay. The only two different cultures that I could think of that were brought here that didn't want to come here were the African Americans. Okay. And believe it or not, the Irish. The Irish were enslaved by the English, and they were brought over and they didn't want it. They started fighting back. But ultimately, what we're missing out here, and the point is, it's not about people getting in line and doing the right things. There is not one country in the world where you can just walk across a border and not pay their taxes, not follow their laws, not follow their constitution, get free housing, free medical, free everything. There's no country that allows that. And what we're having a problem is, it's not the people that are in line, because there's people that are in line. It's like going to Magic Mountain and you've been sitting for an hour for this new ride, and all of a sudden these idiots sneak in the front, and now you're like, wait a minute, what's going on here? That's not fair. That's not right. And what's happening is our government has allowed people, multiple millions, to come across illegally and take money from us, take our taxes. Take our tax money. They're getting free. Heck, even San Francisco's talking about making, I just read it today, making bar zones where you can come in entertainment and get and drink without having to have an ID, for people that are illegal. And it's like, okay, wait a minute, what's going on here? Why we're not doing this correctly? I like to atone it to, coaching sports. I don't know if you guys have played sports before, but if you have, we have things called spirit packs usually. And the team goes out and does car washes. We work, we do whatever we have to do. The money goes into a pot. It helps to pay for your uniforms. It helps to pay for team meals. And then how do you feel when a coach, all of a sudden, some player comes in and they're like, oh, they're going to get to eat the food. They're going to get the meals. They're going to get everything. They didn't have to pay a dime, but you did. We're just going to accept it. That's where people are getting upset. And there is a long line. And the reason I know this, and I quite didn't understand it before, my father-in-law is from Mexico. He did it the hard way. He got in line, he got his visa, he had to learn the history of America. There's more people that are legally brought across, that have come through, that have been through Ellis Island, have been through those things, that know more about the American Constitution and American history than we do, because we're not required. We're just here. We go to school and we take for granted the fact that, oh, I got to go to school. I just got to get my diploma so I get out of here. This is retarded. I don't want to listen to this crap. These people actually have to understand the history of it. Most countries, and I'll take Germany, for instance, you can't get into Germany if you don't have a certain element of education. They won't allow you in. And their reasoning behind it, we only want to bring the smartest people in, not idiots. We're just allowing anybody to come in. And that's what's the problem is they're coming across illegally. The illegal people is the problem. My father-in-law absolutely despises his cousins that have been here for 30, 40 years with him because they're illegal. He's mad because they laugh and they're like, why? I have a house too. And he's like, yeah, but I pay taxes and I got to do this. And they're like, yeah, but why would we do that? Then we have to pay the same taxes as you. We won't have that same money. And he's like, it's called the American dream. Work on it. So that was his take on it. I'm here. I'm American. I'm grateful to be in this country. I think it's the greatest country there is. I think that I would love it. Somebody had brought that up about Hamas, about the Hamas is using, the Palestinian civilians as shields right now against the Israelis who are going in trying to take care of that. And I'm like, okay, well, why don't we bring some of these people to America legally? Not just illegally. They're not coming across the border at night as coyotes. They're not going out there and doing things that are wrong. The problem is that America's fed up with the illegal immigration. Getting in line and doing it, I was told it was years. It's not that long at all. It is absolutely positively not that long at all. The problem is people they'll do it legally and then they don't finish it. They don't finish what they have to do with their visas. They don't finish the education. They don't become citizens because why? Why would I do that when I get it for free already? I get free medical. I get housing. I don't want to do that. There's no point in me doing it. Why would I do that if I can make the same amount sitting on my butt or working in the field? Now, that's a whole other issue in itself. But the reality is I think, like you said, you were talking about gangs in New York. That was about the Irish. The Irish were pissed off. They wanted to fight back. They were done. But guess what? Those weren't illegal immigrants. You couldn't get into America illegally like that. And you had to go through Ellis Island. And those people were, what people didn't like was their culture, their historical culture that they brought. They didn't like that. They didn't like the way they were, and everybody, we're a melting pot of the world. So we have to be able to understand each other's cultures and get along. And like Jeff said, this is the country of the free. We should be free. You should be able to come here, but you should get your ass in line and do what everybody else did before you did, instead of just skipping to the front of the line and trying to get the wealth and get everything you want without having to. That's where the media is throwing us off. That's where the media is making it look like, oh, if you're a Trump supporter, you're absolutely against immigration. That's completely wrong. And then the Trump side saying, well, you're just trying to get more votes by getting anybody in here and allowing them to vote. It's a ridiculous media fight between us, and they're using us again, and it's annoying. And so at the end of the day, I think that it's a great country. We should all be able to come here. We should all learn our history, understand our history. And I think people, if they want to get on the ride, they need to get their asses online and do what they need to do the right way. It doesn't cost so much money you can't afford it. I was told that it was extremely expensive to get a visa to come into America. It's not. It really is not. And the problem that is people in themselves are just not wanting to do it. They're just coming across. Now, are they in crappy situations? Yes, they are. I would not. I'm thankful I don't have to live in Mexico, especially with the cartel murdering people in my family. So somebody needs to fix it. Somebody needs to take care of it. But I think the way we're doing it has been wrong.
I want to go to Kay because it seems like you have a lot to say. So I want to see what you have to say
Well, we
about.
don't have a lot of time, but I will just,
Okay, Sure. Wrap it
I
up.
would just say I respectfully disagree with David's opinion and with David's grouping of undocumented workers and saying they're here to take our money and they're not keeping our laws. And also, we're allowing idiots to come over, and we should be more picky like Germany, because I think we've always allowed idiots to come over in this country. Idiots.
Well, I'm not saying we allow idiots. I'm just saying that those other countries think like that. We hold ourselves to a higher standard than the rest of the world. But their standards, I couldn't get in there. I could not go over there if I wanted to, unless I learned their language, learn their history, learn everything about them. In fact, if I were to go to high school there as a teenager, they do not have German speaking classes for me. Okay, you have to know German to get in there.
Right.
Here we have English learners.
That's good or that's bad? I'm confused.
No, what I'm saying is we have a good balance here. As an American country, we have a good balance. We're able to take people in and help them out. What I'm saying is when you have people coming in that aren't supposed to be here, that are getting that medical, that didn't pay for it, and then there's people that have worked their butts off to get here and they have to pay the taxes and they're doing what they can. And I'm not talking about us, being that I'm already here.
Right. But I'm talking about categorically. I have to disagree with the categorization of undocumented workers as people that are, one, taking our money, two, not keeping our laws, and then kind of getting a free ride of some sort. When I feel like everything I've studied has continuously told me that undocumented workers are people that are continually exploited. They're the people on the bottom rung of everything. They're the people who maybe they don't pay taxes, they get paid under the table, they don't get paid a living wage. If they have a fake social security number, they're never going to reap those social security benefits. That money goes into our coffers. So the idea that somehow they're like laying around and living this fabulous life is just categorically false to me. And I cannot sign off on that. I just don't agree with that. I don't think that it's factually true. And I think that the categorization of undocumented workers as that, for me, I can't vouch for that. I just don't think that's
well. I live in a city right now that deals with a lot of there's an explosive amount of crime that's happened, and out here a lot of them have been illegal immigrants that are doing what they have to do, and then they run back to Mexico and they're doing everything they can to get their money and take off and get out of here, and they're running from the law here, and so you're right, and we can go on and on and on. That's a whole other subject, but and it is what it is. That's how I feel, and I'm sure Kay and I will talk about that later sometime.
There you go. Yes, because we're basically out of time, and I think often the truth is in the middle, and there's good eggs, bad eggs. I love 90 Day Fiance. I think I'm going to try to buy an immigrant, bring them over, because I think you can buy love. I mean, they do say it's a little expensive, David. I'm just saying, but then again, a lot of people in 90 Day are kind of poor. So who knows? We covered everything from Barbie to fake Taylor Swift vagina to Nikki Haley to immigrants. I think it was a complete evening, everybody, and I hope everybody watching the FNL Talk Show liked it. I would like to thank Jeff, David, Kay. I'm Sean. Any last words, anyone?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you, everybody.